first of all, the investments that I've made is what government has to do. We put $100 million specifically around violence prevention, but this also includes making sure that we're hiring more detectives, we're doing that. But the philanthropic community, business community stepping up to add more support to this work is critical. It's really about relationships. I don't think it's stressed enough that in order for us to prevent violence and reduce violence, is that you have to have relationships in communities with credible people that can help interact, with the neighborhood. In many instances, you have not just conflicts, with opposing street organizations or gangs. Sometimes there's dispute internally, and you have domestic violence that exists as well. That's why I provided a holistic approach towards violence prevention. It's not just simply about what gets in the headlines, right? So it's really about relationship building. It's also about connecting to resources. People want a way out in this city. They do. They want a way out of the violence as well as the poverty that they've lived in. They want a way out. And so it's connecting them to those resources. And then finally, it's about making sure that the work is sustained. And that sustainable work means the entire community has to be addressed as well.
Mayor, can you tell me whether Superintendent Larry Snelling made the right call when he declined to reopen the investigation into the 8 cops who admitted having ties to the Oath Keepers at the request of Inspector General Deborah Witzberg?
Well, look, the superintendent and I both are committed to making sure that our police force is made up of individuals who truly care and love the people of Chicago. If there are individuals that have displayed any anti-presentation, I'm confident that the superintendent is committed to making sure that those individuals don't serve on our police force. Now, to the specifics of this particular case, quite frankly, if you give me the opportunity to get back to you, I don't have all the details in that particular case. So it would be irresponsible if I were to comment on that specific case.
Mayor, what did you say to the president last night during your conversation with other mayors? Can you talk about what you said to the president, if you offered him any advice?
Well, what I've said was we're with him, right? There's only one person in this country who has ever defeated Donald Trump. And what I also said was the type of investments that we're making in the city of Chicago, the investments around mental health support. As I've said to him, we reopened mental health clinics. We need more support. We're building affordable homes. I said I was going to do it, but we need more support to do it. And then I was very clear about our investment in youth employment and how that plays a part in providing safer communities. So that message came across, not just from me, but other places around the country.
Did you have any concerns about his ability to lead another 4 years?
Hello, everyone. How are you? I thought the mayor answered all your questions.
Can you tell us what it would mean for Illinois to have a second Trump term? We heard the mayor say yesterday after the call with the mayors that it represented essentially an existential threat to the people of Chicago. Do you agree with him?
Yeah, let's start with the fact that he would sign a ban on abortion that would affect everybody in the state of Illinois, not to mention the city of Chicago. He would also be bad for working families. He wants to put tariffs in place. You know what that'll do? Massive inflation. That's what Donald Trump is all about. And then, of course, when you put a convicted felon, a adjudicated rapist, a congenital liar in place, and someone who is seeking to take revenge on anybody that didn't support him, you know what that'll do to the city of Chicago.
Governor, do you expect to be targeted by a Department of Justice or other city officials?
I think Donald Trump will use every tool in the toolbox to go after people all across the country, and I'm talking about the people of the city of Chicago that didn't vote for him. And you know what? That's the biggest reason why he's going to lose. People understand that he's a vindictive, selfish, narcissistic person.
How concerned are you with the RNC coming up that violence in Chicago, what we've seen this last weekend, will be used to the Republicans' advantage? Just crime is up, we need to vote for us.
Yeah, so let's remember that when Republicans defund programs like the ones that we're talking about in this room, the community violence interruption programs, which is what Republicans did, you end up with, and the study from Northwestern shows it about Illinois, you end up with more violent crime. It's Republicans that have caused this problem, and Republicans don't want to deal with it. They say they're the party of law and order, but the leader of their party is a convicted felon.
Governor, there are reports that a fundraiser for President Joe Biden scheduled during the DNC has been canceled amid the fallout of the president's debate performance. What level of concern does that raise for you that financial backing could be hitting the president?
Oh, I think everything's fluid right now, and I honestly think that the president's doing a fine job of raising money. You've seen all the money that they've raised online for the Biden-Harris campaign. I know of fundraisers that are ongoing, so any rumor that you may have heard about something like that, I think, is overblown.
Speaking of that, George Clooney said that Biden was not sharp at his fundraiser, and he should step aside. He listed you as a possible replacement on the ticket. Does that change your calculation in the last 24 hours?
I'm supporting Joe Biden and Kamala Harris for president. I'm going to work my tail off to make sure that they win.
Governor, on CNN and at the press conference you had yesterday, you said that you really wanted to see Biden get out there and make his case for voters. How do you think he's been doing for that?
I think at the beginning, right after the debate, I thought it was very, very slow. I think now, more and more, he's been out there, he's talking to the public, he's talking to reporters. That's what we need him to do. And remember, he also went to the NATO summit, very important to represent the strength of the United States at the NATO summit, something, by the way, that Donald Trump wants to do away with, NATO. He wants us to withdraw, which frankly will just leave Europe open to Vladimir Putin and whatever he may want to do after he overtakes Ukraine when Donald Trump is president. That's why we have to defeat Donald Trump.
Governor, you mentioned the 250 CBI funding. Can you share a bit about whether any of that money's been distributed and how, if not, it'll be distributed in a quick way for these groups to receive it?
It has. We passed that bill, I think, in 2021 for 2022. The money has been coming out ratably, regularly over the last 3 years. We're now in the third year of that. And it's important. It's money that had to get out there. It's especially important, as you know, as we're in summer, when you see more violence than you do in other parts of the calendar. So I'm glad that that's happening. We have more that's being distributed even now as we're in FY25, and there'll be more in FY26. And we need, as I said at the podium up there, we need to continue to fund at a certain level. We all have to agree on what that level is going forward, even when we're not surging funding, but just maintaining violence interruption programs across the state.
After this violent weekend that we had,
Terrible.
People are out there and you're talking about violence prevention, violence interruption. Doesn't seem like there was a lot of that with the numbers we saw this weekend. What do you say to people who are just getting fed up and don't feel like they can be patient enough for something to actually make a difference?
It's frustrating, let me just say, and people are frustrated all across the country. Chicago is not the only city that suffers from violent crime. We have a particular problem that we know that we're always working to overcome. But if we had not put the dollars out there and supported community violence interrupters and rebuilt the infrastructure, because it got decimated by the Republicans, if we hadn't rebuilt it, the problem would be much worse today. We are making progress.
Thanks, everybody. We got to go.